Hi everyone, my name is Stephen Pu, co-founder of Taraxa, and today we'll take a few minutes to talk about the importance of timestamps. So first of all, what is a timestamp? A timestamp is basically just time, right? Like what time is it? Every single computer has it, every obviously watches have it. It's just simply time. That's what a timestamp is. So why is the timestamp interesting or useful, or why are we even talking about it? Well, it sounds kind of silly that we're talking about why time is important, but typically speaking, when people are talking about blockchain or on-chain assets, for example, a lot of DeFi, a lot of coin transactions, time isn't really that important. What's much more important for on-chain transactions typically are ordering, right? The order in which things happen. And as long as the ordering is correct or the ordering are is reasonable, then time doesn't really matter, right? So generally speaking, blockchain doesn't need sort of this native understanding of time or the application layer that are purely on chain, especially when it comes to financial transactions. Ordering matters a lot more than time. So why are we talking about timestamps here? Well, Taraxa's primary functionality is to track informal transactional agreements and data. And that all happens off chain. So in the off-chain world, time is very much an important thing. So here are just a few examples of why time becomes very important in informal transactional agreements or any kind of agreements in general. Service level agreements. So in a lot of agreements or contracts, there is a guarantee from the service provider to the customer that things are supposed to be done in a certain way, that they're supposed to perform according to a certain metric. And a lot of time that is dependent on time, right? For example, a delivery needs to be made within a certain amount of time. So that is an example of a service level agreement in which timestamps are actually very, very important. And that, of course, also comes into play when you have informal agreements. There's another thing that are in agreements typically are time trigger clauses, right? So you can imagine that if we have an informal agreement in which I'm supposed to repay back a loan once every month, and at the beginning of each month, well then time becomes very, very important, right? So you have to know whether or not that loan was actually repaid at a specific time, based upon the timestamp that are recorded in these informal transactions. Right? And even when time isn't actually really easily spelled out or explicitly spelled out in these informal agreements, accountability in general might actually be an important reason why you want to include timestamps inside these informal agreements. For example, right, if a customer is working with three contractors and these three contractors have work that really are interdependent upon each other, right? So their work are really closely related to each other, and the customer made a change request, but he only communicated it, for example, to only two of the three contractors, and only after like days or a week later did he inform the third contractor. And as a result, the work did not get completed in time, or maybe the outcome of the work was not to the specification of the updated requirements that the customer had communicated. Well, in that specific scenario, you might think that, hey, if I had timestamps and I said it's actually on the customer's responsibility to communicate these changes to all three contractors at a reasonably close to each other time, right? Maybe a day apart is fine, but talk to the two contractors out of three one day and a week later inform the third guy, then maybe it's not really the contractor's fault that the work didn't get completed according to the customer's wishes, because he just wasn't able to communicate it in a timely fashion, right? It wasn't reasonable to expect that the contractors could complete their work successfully. So it's also a way to really track accountability. And these are just a few reasons why timestamps are going to be very important and very critical for the types of informal transactions that Taraxa is designed to track. Thank you.